Mahomes back, throws. It is incomplete, picked off by the Lions. Brian Branch with it left side. He's gone, baby. He's going to the house. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Deflected in the air, Branch ran under it, and he took it all the way back.
Week 3 of the Twentyman and the Huddle podcast with PJ Clark here, and we're doing it, PJ, at Ford Field after a Lions victory, 20-6 over the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm glad that we had Brian Branch in that little lead in there.
Yeah, another good day for that.
Man, this kid, I think they have something pretty special in him, PJ.
He is real good. I mean, you saw it at all three levels today, making plays in the pass game, making plays behind the line of scrimmage in the run game. He is something special.
11 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 passes defended, and
it's pretty good.
Maybe you have an argument between him and Aidan Hutchinson that he was the best player on the field for a defense that played outstanding against Atlanta. I thought Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, had a terrific game plan. Took away what Atlanta wants to do, which is run the football. They came in averaging 170 yards on the ground through their first 2 games. Would they have 20 total carries for 44 yards, 2.2 average, and Aaron Glenn made Arthur Smith go away from what he does best. They were that good against the run that a team that usually doesn't abandon the run abandoned it in the second half, and that was, from then on, it was totally advantage Detroit Lions.
Yeah, they needed to put up points, and they just were not getting anywhere on the ground, and it was, a vaunted run game with a 1,000-yard rusher last year and the best running back in this draft, and Lions stifled them. It was unbelievable.
6 total points, 183 yards of total offense for Atlanta, 44 yards on the ground. I mean, that was a dominant performance, plus 7 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. I mean, they completely dominated Atlanta defensively.
Flip the script from last week. I mean, the run defense was good last week. We talked about it a little bit post-game, but you got pressure on the quarterback, which is what everybody talked about all week. And Kaminsky brought it up on Thursday, a great point. Just they're going to come in bunches. They definitely came in a big bunch today.
Came in a lot of bunches. And then Aidan with, getting 2 late, including the last one that also included a forced fumble and a fumble recovery to essentially clinch the game. Defended 2 passes, had 4 tackles, a tackle for loss. I mean, you look at the stat sheet defensively, and Aidan Hutchinson basically had a mark on every line except for interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're expecting from Aidan Hutchinson, I think, in year 2 now as he continues to develop and continues to get better. These are the games that are going to push him into that elite tier of edge rusher, especially when you do it late in the game, in the fourth quarter, when your opponent is driving to cut it to a 1-score game like he did today.
Yeah, and what a bounce-back performance, right? Because we talked all week about this defense needing a bounce-back. Even though I didn't think they played terrible, the offense, kind of spotted Seattle 14 points, in my opinion, last week. But they had only 1 sack in 2 games. They were getting pressure, but they basically weren't finishing. I think that was maybe the key word for me this week. The buzzword was finish, right? Finish at the quarterback. Finish with turnovers. Just finish the game. And I thought their defense did that 100% today in all areas.
It was really, it was an incredible performance by all 3 levels. I mean, you have 2 backup safeties in there, Melifonwu and Tracy Walker. I know he is mad that he dropped 2 interceptions.
Oh, his teammates are going to get it to him.
That's okay, but
so bad.
Those two guys were shot out of a cannon over the middle, and every ball over the middle that Ritter tried to hit a hole shot on, just the safeties were there. I thought it was great at the back end. I thought you saw Jack Campbell get after the quarterback. I thought the linebackers were pretty good, and then obviously the defensive line, interior edge rushers, Aleem McNeil with the big sack, Benito Jones with the first sack of the game. I mean, everybody showed up on all 3 levels of the defense today.
Yeah, shout out to Iffy. He's made that transition from corner to safety, but he hasn't played a lot. I think, he got in there last year, but then got hurt. Yep. He's battled injuries early on, and for him to have the impact that he did, 3 tackles, had a big pass defense, late in that game, had a tackle for loss. Like you mentioned they got performances from all three levels. I thought they got terrific linebacker play. It was just a dominant defensive performance when they were down some key guys. And I think that's a credit to Brad Holmes. It's a credit to Dan Campbell. That they kind of kept this train rolling despite the injuries and the guys that they were missing on that side of the football.
Yeah, and they preach depth all offseason, right? It's always been a next man up thing, especially on the defensive line when you're looking. You go, okay, you go 8 deep at edge. Time to use them. It is time. You have James Houston might be out for the year. Somebody's got to step up.
Josh Pascal, they're missing.
Yeah, it is time for this depth and this roster that, you talked about it a lot even during training camp. The back end of the roster has improved so much from when this all started 2 years ago. And now you need those guys, and you need those guys to be key players. And I think all of it was on display today.
This is what Dan Campbell had to say about the defensive performance to wrap up that side of the football.
It's very difficult. You can't always, as much as you want to talk about playing that type of defense, it's hard to bank on that. Offensive football has really come a long way, and so it's very difficult. And I think that's pretty telling for what we were able to do today. That was an impressive performance by our guys, and it helps when you're able to take them out of what they do best, which we were able to do. That's what we were trying to do last week against Seattle is take them out of that game. But we were able to do it today, and now you feel like you got the upper hand. So we were able to do that early. Offense was able to hold on to that ball and score enough points and, kind of stay within that 2-score lead. And, it really allowed us to do a lot of things defensively. So
it was a terrific defensive performance, and that's got to give Dan Campbell a lot of confidence.
You got to feel good about
heading into a short week
you have to feel good
on the road in Green Bay on Thursday. All right, let's talk about the other side of the ball because these offensive line injuries are starting to mount here.
Yep.
They were already without Big V. They were already without Taylor Decker, and then you lose Matt Nelson in the first half. Dan Skipper, who was signed to the practice squad and elevated to the roster on Saturday, has to jump in there, boom, left hamstring injury. He can't return. Colby Sorsdale, the rookie, 5th-round pick, who played tackle in college, but you shifted to guard. That's where he's played pretty much all offseason, all training camp. Now you've got to push him back outside to right tackle.
The handful of Sorsdale tackle reps throughout OTAs and training camp, I think you could maybe put it on 2 hands. It was not a lot.
And credit to him. Now, look, it wasn't perfect, certainly. And they had to protect him a little bit with some chips and some tight ends. I thought they did a good job of that. But for that young man to step in and play outside on an island over there and kept Jared, pretty clean for the most part, I thought it was a good job by him. And, again, it speaks to the depth that we talk about, right?
Yeah, and you even were able to run it off that right side a couple times after he came in. And, yeah, LaPorta was there for help and clearing some of that path. But, I mean, listen, it worked. You were able to run the ball and really put the game away. Gibbs came on late after nothing was going on in the first half on the ground. Nothing was going on in the first 3 quarters on the ground. And, Jared made a point in his post-game presser that Ben got Jahmyr going a little bit there, 36 rushing yards on that last drive, I believe it was. And you started to see it all come together, even with an offensive line that was so banged up.
Yeah, those back-to-back plays on the drive that they went up 20-3, where he had 12 yards off the left side and then busted that one down the sideline for 21 inside the 10-yard line. Detroit would score 3 plays later on a Jared Goff 3-yard
touchdown. Didn't have that one pegged today.
No, the little read option.
Everybody in the building thought Jahmyr Gibbs was at least going right into the pile. Not Jared.
Yeah, Jared was joking about it. He had a good time with it after the game. But look, Gibbs overall, right? You knew he was going to have to step up. You knew he was going to take a bigger part of the chunk for the run game with David Montgomery out with that thigh injury. 17 rushes, 80 yards, a 4.7 average. I thought he was fine. He was, he didn't have a whole bunch of holes early on, but when they did provide a hole, I thought he was quick to get through it and got what he could. We didn't see some of the stuff we saw last week in terms of him bouncing it outside and losing yards. I think he put his foot in the ground. He got north and south, and that's just the kind of game this was. And then when it opens up finally, you take advantage of that and you end up with the game you did.
I think you, in that fourth quarter, specifically on that last drive, you started seeing it click a little bit. Like, oh, this is what this is supposed to look like. Everybody goes out. Jahmyr Gibbs is an offensive weapon. We're going to use him in different ways. That is like you could see the second gear starting to kick in today for maybe the first time. And we talk about how much of a receiving weapon he is. 2 targets, 1 catch for 2 yards. Like, was not even part of the receiving game today, and still put up. I mean, I think it was his best game through the first 3.
Yeah. And he didn't need to be a big part of the patch game because a fellow rookie had his back. Look, we're so used to Amon-Ra St. Brown getting his, and he had 9 catches on 12 targets.
It is hilarious that
for
we're
102 yards, and it's like
we're not even going to talk about 9 for 102. No, doesn't matter.
That's him. Yeah. You just expect that.
Oh, well.
But you don't expect 8 catches on 11 targets for 84 yards plus a 45-yard touchdown from your rookie tight end.
You might want to start expecting it.
You might want to, because his 18 catches through the first 3 games, most ever by a tight end in his first 3 games. I mean, that's the kind of impact Sam LaPorta is having early on in his career. And look, we asked Jared, about him and his comfort level with him, after the game, and this is what Jared had to say.
Yeah, the first day he was at OTAs, probably. He's a stud. He's a stud, and has great feel for the game. Has great hands. Obviously, has good speed. Blocks well when we ask him to block. But I know for me personally, he does a great job in the route progression. I think the most exciting part about him, and I'm sure he'd say this, is he's not even playing as well as he really could. There's still some little rookie things that happen here or there. That the sky's the limit for him, and it's going to be fun to hopefully play with him for a long time.
That's a lot of confidence coming from a veteran quarterback toward a rookie tight end. Look, you don't see it a lot, Peach. We talk all the time. Outside of quarterback, tight end is probably the hardest position for a rookie to come in and make a big impact, just as because of all the positions you're learning, and you have to know all the run fits, and you have to know the protections, and it's a really difficult position. And look, Lions coaches have been hard on LaPorta because I think they saw early on, what he could be. And look, he comes to work with a smile on his face every day. I don't think I've ever seen
always
that guy
smiling.
Without a smile.
Always smiling.
He's always smiling. He's just a really good dude. And it turns out he's a really good football player, too. And again, you get Branch in the second round. You get LaPorta in the second round. I mean, Brad Holmes picking up some of these guys, and these rookies having a big impact. And not your first 2 guys, even though they did too, but your guys into day 2 of the draft are now starting to become some of your better football players. Good job by him.
I mean, 84 and a touchdown, and it's not just like the yards. 84 yards is great for anybody, rookie, not rookie, whatever. The way he gets them, he's taking like an 8-yard check down, and he's bouncing off 3 guys to get 15. He's breaking tackles. He's running after the catch. He's finding a hole in the zone. I mean, the touchdown was beautifully designed, running kind of like a reverse leak up there, and he's wide open, and Jared floats it out to him. It was perfect. Hit him in stride. Nobody within 15 yards of him. I mean, that's a layup. It's credit to Ben Johnson, but for a team that had the franchise record for tight end touchdowns last year, I mean, that was a point everybody wanted to make, and you're adding a top 34 pick to that group. I mean, they clearly want to use him, and at this point, there's no reason not to.
And the big thing for me, too, is some of the third down catches, right? I mean, for Goff to have that much confidence.
Because when you have Amon-Ra, who's going to get doubled on every third down, you need that second option, and he's stepping right in.
Yeah, you know what's scary?
This could go so many ways.
We haven't even seen the JMO effect yet.
No, we have not.
Because I think the 2 guys that benefit the most from Jameson Williams are Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam LaPorta. Guys that operate in the middle. And if you bring that threat, that speed, if JMO makes some plays early on, and now they've got to defend Detroit a little different than they have these first 3 games. Now that you don't get that safety over the middle because he's working over. Boy, and now there's just that much more room for a guy like LaPorta. It'll be really interesting. I think it'll be fun when Jameson Williams gets back, just how much more room there'll be for Sam to operate.
It's going to get interesting quick. And I mean, this was a different offensive game, I feel like, than the first two.
Sure.
With the O-line issues. Jared got hit a lot. It was kind of a quick pass game, throw into the boundary, like just get the ball out and move on, live to see another day kind of thing. Like, I mean, Josh Reynolds, who has been great through 2 games, was not targeted once today. Was just not. There were no seams to hit. There was no time to let those plays that we saw so much success from in the first 2 weeks develop. It was all just, don't take a sack, live to see another day, and move the chains. And I mean, 20 points for this offense, what we've seen last year and especially last week, 20 points is on the low end, but they did what they needed to do.
You have to win different ways in this league. And today it was about, managing the game offensively and then just relying on your defense. You knew early on that the defense was setting the tone in this game. They were playing terrific. Atlanta had few answers offensively. And so, look, Jared lamented the interception after the game because that's the one thing he didn't want to do. Praise the defense for getting Atlanta off the field after the turnover. But this was just, to me, one of those games where you just kind of had to take what they were giving you, manage the game, score when opportunities were there, hit a big play when it was there, talking about the 45-yard touchdown to LaPorta, but rely on your defense. And look, we haven't said that a lot over the years. Let's be honest. This was a game, I thought Atlanta's defense had a pretty good plan. Detroit was down some guys up front, knew this was going to be a grind-it game offensively, and the defense stepped up and won them this game. And I think that's great moving forward, that you know that it's in this defense, that it's there. Yep. They've got guys
against a good offensive team, too.
A game. And so, look, now it shifts to a short week, right? It's all about the players getting their bodies right. A little bit of sleep this week for Campbell and company. He talked about that after the game. It's about getting a game plan together. Green Bay was down 17-0, I think.
Yep.
Came back and won 18-17, flipped it. So, look, Thursday's about first place in the NFC North. Division opponent at their place, both teams 2-1.
It's a fun place to be at the end of September.
It is a fun place to be talking about a first place matchup. And so, look, great win by the Lions. They owed the fans one here. The fans showed up. It was loud here. They were great. Now you've hit the road and on a short week, and we're going to see what this team's all about.
Yeah,
coming off a good win on a short week. Can they put the game plan together? Can they get some guys healthy? Hopefully you got guys like Decker. Maybe we might see Emmanuel Mosley.
Montgomery,
we'll start to see that
today. Yeah,
obviously we'll update you, DetroitLions.com, through the week on that, but it should be a fun one Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, this is as big of a show-me game as today was. I think you're getting the same thing on Thursday because it's put up or shut up time on Thursday night.
Well, it should be fun, and we will be in Green Bay. We will have a post-game podcast like we always do, and hopefully we're talking about another win, Peach, a 3-1 Lions team, and off and running.
Off and run.